This is a 190 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff attorney, Mr. White, capital W-H-I-T-E. Defense attorney, Ms. M.S. period Dodge, capital D-O-D-G-E. And we'll start with defense attorney. Ready? Here we go. Were you even aware that a shirt was found that might have had that kind of information on it? No, I was not aware of it. Did the sheriff's department or anybody from the state of Louisiana, the district attorney's office, anybody ask you to check the shirt to see if perhaps you could find some kind of profile on here that might match Travis Hayes or Ryan Matthews? No. If they would have, would you have done that? Yes. Okay, now let's say a glove like this. May I approach the witness, Your Honor? You may. If someone was wearing this glove, would you be able to attempt to analyze that, any part of that, to get the DNA sample? Sure, we can analyze all different sorts of samples for a DNA profile. And once again, just because more than one person may have worn that glove would not preclude you from getting DNA samples to match against either Mr. Travis Hayes or Ryan Matthews, would it? That's correct. A mixture of DNA profiles does not interfere at all with the accuracy of the results. And did anyone ask you to examine the glove? No. When you perform tests, and you perform tests for the state of Louisiana a lot, don't you? Yes. And you perform tests for anyone who asks you to perform tests? Yes. If they paid your fees? Yes. As a private lab, we do work for the DA's office, the sheriff's office, for private individuals, defense counsel. And when the DA matches a suspect, normally the state asks you to come in and testify about those tests, don't they? Yes, that's true. And if they don't match, do they bother to ask you to come in? Not usually. I don't know about their motives, but okay. And in this case, who then subpoenaed you to come testify in court today? You did, the defense. And did I ask you to come in here and slant your testimony toward Travis Hayes? No. If I would have, would you have done that? No. And you performed every test that you were asked to perform? Yes. Is that right? That's right. And the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, and as far as you know, the district attorney's office is aware of what tests you performed. Well, we issued our report to the sheriff's office, and how they slant that information, I can't be sure. Okay, and they were satisfied with your results and didn't ask you to go any further. Is that right? They didn't ask us to go any further, and once again, none of the samples from that mask or the matter that was handed to you ever came back to Travis Hayes. Is that right? Neither of the evidence samples were consistent with the reference sample from Travis Hayes. That's true. And neither for Ryan Matthews. Is that right? That's also right. Is there any doubt in your mind that this separate sample that you were sent, whatever the matter it was that the JPSO said was found in the cap, did not belong to Travis Hayes? I'm not sure what you're asking. There's no doubt in my mind that Travis Hayes is clearly excluded from the piece of tissue that we received from Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. And how about Ryan Matthews? Also Ryan Matthews. And was there any indication from any tests you performed that would have linked either Travis Hayes or Ryan Matthews to the mask or the tissue? Not based on the test we performed. Okay, is there anything else the jury should know about? I know very little about DNA. You know that. Is there anything else the jury should know about your tests or whatever functions you performed in conjunction with this case? I don't think so. I'd like to know, can you identify this for me, please? Yes, this is the report we issued to the sheriff's office about this case. In this case, yes. And did you review this? Yes. And the results in this test are just the same thing that you're telling this jury today. Is that true? Yes, they are the same. I want to mark this D8, Judge. I'd like to introduce it into the record as well. That's fine. Any objection by the state? No, sir. D8 is admitted. And if I'm right, the report is the first page. Is that right? And these are the results, right? The whole thing is the report. And that includes a list of the evidence we got and a table of the results, which are the actual allele results that I described, as well as a page of verbal conclusions describing the fact that the two individuals are excluded as donors And the back of this is just, and the last 3 pages are really your reference materials as to your expertise and your references and how you qualify as an expert and how your lab qualifies as an expert. Is that right? That's right. I have no further questions. Thank you. Answer the DA's questions. Good evening, Ms. Golden. Good evening. The report that counsel just marked as a defense exhibit, that is a report that is sent to Detective Ralph Sachs at the Homicide Division. Is that correct? Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office Homicide Division. Yes, that's right. Okay, just so everybody's clear, are you aware of the fact that Mr. Pastor came into possession of that report through the district attorney's office? No, I'm not aware of what happens to the report after we issue it to the agency that hires us. Okay, so you send it back to Detective Sachs, and from there you really don't know what happens to it. Is that right? That's right. Are you aware of the fact that Detective Sachs, the lead homicide detective, has already testified that he made your report a part of his report, and he has already testified to your findings? Are you aware of that? No, I'm not aware of that. Okay, so not the detail that you've testified to, but he has informed the jury that the samples obtained from the mask and the tissue excluded Travis Hayes and Ryan Matthews as donors of those samples. I just want you to be aware of that. I think you said that there were 2 samples that were tested. Is that true? There were just 4 samples that were tested, 2 of which were evidence and 2 of which were known reference samples obtained from the 2 suspects. The known reference samples being the blood from the 2 suspects and the 2 reference samples, or the reference samples are the known samples from the 2 individuals, and then the evidence samples are the unknown samples from the ski mask. Okay, and the tissue was one piece of evidence that you all analyzed, right? That's right. And the tissue was, you were able to obtain DNA or find DNA from the tissue sample, right? Yes. All right. And that was, how many donors was on that tissue sample? The tissue sample was consistent with a single donor. Do you know where that tissue sample was retrieved from? No. Do you know if it was retrieved from the outside of the mask or the inside of the mask? No, I only know we received it separately packaged and labeled as having been obtained from the ski mask. Okay, how does DNA come to be on a sample such as a piece of evidence such as a mask? Well, there's a variety of ways. As I said before, DNA is present in every nucleated cell of your body, which includes skin cells, blood cells, sperm, and so at any time when there's any sort of a secretion on a substance or sloughing off of cells, anything like that, you're going to possibly leave DNA. How do you store samples in the lab? The lab is, we have a freezer which is kept locked that we store evidence in. This freezer is kept in a forensic lab with restricted access. This forensic lab is maintained within the whole facility, which is monitored by 24-hour security. Ms. Golden, you testified, I think, that there were 2 samples. There was a sample taken from the mask, and that there were 2 donors assigned to that. Yes, so that, what does that tell you? It's an indication that 2 people may have possibly worn the mask. Okay, that 2 people may have possibly worn the mask. Does that mean that more than 2 people may have worn the mask? It's possible that more than 2 people did. It's at least 2 people left DNA on the mask. Okay, how is it possible that all you have are 2 donors that you found on the mask? All right. The word list. Travis Hayes, capital Travis, new word, capital Hayes. Ryan Matthews, capital Ryan, new word, capital Mattthews. Jefferson Parish, capital Jefferson, new word, capital Parish. JPSO is all caps, no periods, no spaces. JPSO. Ms. Golden, MS period, capital GOLDEN. Ralph Sachs, capital RALPH, new word, capital SACKS. Mr. Pastor, capital PASTOR. And that is it for the word list. And that will conclude our 190 Q&A practice test.